Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. And in this video, I'd like to take a look at some polling commissioned by the Tories supporting Telegraph, which paints a tricky picture for the Conservatives where their Rwanda plan is concerned. I'd like to discuss what the Tories think they're going to gain from the plan, pitched against not just empirical thinking, but what polling appears to say. Because all I'm seeing is a lose-lose mess for the Tories, and perhaps they don't even realise it. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So the latest on Sunak's Rwanda safety bill is that the House of Lords have voted to put 7 amendments back onto the bill after the House of Commons removed the previous 10. Rishi Sunak claims that this is urgent legislation and he wants to get on with it, right? But there are 2 problems with this claim. First, he still doesn't have any way of physically sending the refugees to Rwanda. They're not allowed to use his helicopter. Commercial airlines are refusing to do it, and no arrangement has yet been made with the Ministry of Defence. Given that Sunak claimed to be expecting to have his bill written into law this week, it seems odd that he's not actually ready for it. And second, Sunak could have had his MPs vote on the Lord's amendment next week before the Easter recess. House of Commons doesn't go into recess till next Tuesday. It's not like they're doing much else either. But he hasn't done that. He said, it's fine, we'll leave it till after Easter. And it has been noticed by those both supporting and opposing the bill that Sunak seems happy to drag his feet a little. Now, why would that be? Well, it all depends on how you see this bill as a political device for Sunak. Obviously, he needed something to stop the far-right rebelling. It seems reasonable to suppose that neither Rishi Sunak nor his Home Secretary, James Cleverly, really believe the bill will be of any use. As Chancellor, Sunak tried to stop the funding for the entire plan because he thought it was a waste. And James Cleverly has allegedly previously described the plan as batshit. Given that it's reasonable to suppose neither believe in it, you'd imagine they don't actually want to see the bill become law, because then it exposes the fact that it doesn't actually do anything. The far right will claim, we told you it was too weak, and voters in favour of the plan would see yet more Tory incompetence, which solidifies their support for Reform UK, or moves them towards it if they remain amongst the 19% still intending to vote Conservative in the election. Is the plan to just blame Labour in the House of Lords? It would certainly seem so, because they are claiming that Labour have a majority in the Lords. No, they don't. In fact, the Tories alone have 100 more peers than Labour do. And they're also saying, it's Labour who are blocking it in the Lords. Labour are blocking it in the Lords. And it's like, no, there's a lot of Conservative peers who are also laying amendments here, right? But how does that help them anyway? Because normally you'd think to yourself, blaming Labour for thinking, that makes sense because the Conservatives are competing with Labour, right? But Labour are focusing their policy appeal on the economy, on healthcare, housing, the environment. The Conservatives are not competing with Labour with the Rwanda plan. It's not there as a wedge issue with Labour. The Rwanda plan is a device to compete for the sort of voters that Reform UK are attracting. So blaming Labour, even if it's believed by the voters they're targeting with the Rwanda plan, doesn't really help, because they're not thinking of voting for Labour. They're thinking of voting for Reform UK. To counter Reform UK, surely the Tories need the Rwanda plan implementing and working. So that means it has to pass into law. Refugees have to be sent to Rwanda, and there needs to be a corresponding reduction in channel crossing numbers. And that final stage cannot be missed off. Sunak can get this bill into law, at the very least by accepting some amendments. He can certainly get it into law in some form. He might be able to send some refugees to Rwanda. I don't know. But what he cannot do is get those channel crossing numbers down with this completely spurious plan. The Tories are not going to win back support by just waving a plane off to Rwanda. In this latest Savanta polling for the Telegraph, it compared what people thought about it in January and now March. There's a reduction in the number of people who think it will reduce channel crossings, even amongst Tory voters. And there's an increase in those who think it will actually make channel crossings go up. Essentially, this short-term trend is one of even Tory voters losing faith with the Rwanda plan. There's a smaller number of those who think that it will actually have some positive outcome. The only way to change their minds would be to show it actually working. And what is it that those voters want to see? It's not people going to Rwanda. They don't care about that. That is a means to an end as far as they're concerned. What they want to see is the small boat crossing stop. They would at least need to see a major reduction. Now, if Sunak is happy to play ping pong with the House of Lords with his bill, those people will never see that. If he somehow gets the Lords to pass it in its original form, people will still never see it because the majority are actually correct. It will make no difference. And even forgetting about that trend away from support for the plan, look at the results in the here and now, so the March results. Think about all those. When they say Conservative voters, they mean people who voted Conservative in 2019. 60% of them think it will make no difference or make the situation worse. A minority of about a third think the plan will work. Now let's consider those who think the plan will work first, right? So some of them still intend to vote Conservative, others don't. Now those who don't already think the plan will work. So imagine those Conservative voters now saying Reform UK. They think the plan will work, but they're still going to vote Reform UK. So implementing the plan doesn't win them back. They've already decided to vote for someone else, even though they believe in the plan. So the plan doesn't work for them. So that was easy. So now let's consider the ones who don't think the plan will work. Again, some are still intending to vote Conservative, in which case the Tories sort of already have those, as long as they don't do anything to lose them. But others are not. So there are some who don't think the plan will work, who are going to vote for Reform UK. So you think, well, the Tories must be trying to target those who aren't currently intending on voting Tory, obviously. So if these voters don't think the plan will work, simply having the bill passed doesn't convince them, doesn't change their minds. Waving a plane off to Rwanda doesn't change their minds. The only thing which can change their minds will be to see a reduction in small boat crossings. But it won't work. I mean, it remains to be seen if the plan is even implemented, but it can't work. So no matter how you slice up these voters, there's no credible way in which the Tories can actually win back a substantial number of votes by passing this bill, implementing the bill. It's madly expensive, it's immoral, it's law breaking, and it can't work. It's a complete blind alley for Sunak and his parties. And yet, what else do they have? Tax cuts, which aren't working. They've cut national insurance twice this year. On each occasion, it hasn't worked. It hasn't given them a boost in the polls. They say they might do it a third time this year before the election. Hasn't given them a boost in the polls during the 2 times they've already cut it. Why do they imagine it will the third? And the reason it's not working is because people are still feeling the pain. They're not fooled. The frog is not in a pot of gently boiling water. The Tories threw it into the lava. After that, the Tories have got nothing. They are left, at the moment, with 2 election strategies. A Rwanda plan that it looks to me like Sunak doesn't even want to become law, and if it does, it'll just be exposed as it doesn't do anything. So it can't really win back any votes. And tax cuts, which we know aren't winning back in any votes. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.